Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we'll be discussing what the battleground slash swing states are in this 2020 presidential election. And I'll be discussing what the different states look like and who I think they have a chance of going to in 2020 November this year. So obviously, as you all probably know, there are safe states. I'm not going to be doing the likely and lean stuff for the safe states, like Nebraska second. That's not exactly it. Like Nebraska second. I'll discuss that in a sec. I'll just do all the safe states now. Hawaii, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, right, Illinois, and Alaska. Okay, so these are the points: 182 to 125. They're pretty standard. You've all definitely seen this, but I feel like I should do it anyway. Now, for me, the battleground slash swing states are states that are probably definitely in a lean column if I were to do a presidential election prediction. So, for example, Iowa and Ohio, I don't think are battleground states because they're in the likely column for Joe Biden, so I wouldn't class them as battleground states because there is not a chance Joe Biden picks up Ohio. Maybe Ohio goes down to lean, but it'll be a very tight margin. I do think Trump will hold on to it by a pretty substantial margin, so I don't class them, in my opinion, maybe you do, as a swing battleground state in this election. But similarly, that's Colorado and New Mexico. They are going to be pretty secure for Joe Biden. New Mexico I could see getting 8, 9, 10 points. Colorado maybe 6, 7 points. If the Bernie Sanders supporters comes out for him, it definitely could be higher. But I do think these are not battleground states in this election. In fact, I will just do this. I don't class them as that personally. They're going to go to Joe Biden. Similarly with Virginia, I don't class that as a battleground state in this election really. The polls have him up by 9.7 points in Virginia. If I just load it up here, hopefully it doesn't take a while. Yeah, 9.7. It's pretty substantial. Obviously it's quite old, but not much has changed, and if anything it's swung in favour of Joe Biden because of the protests and coronavirus, the stock market, everything just not going well for Trump. It's really unfortunate from a Republican perspective, because of everything that's going on. It's really bad timing. If this was at the midway through his presidency, he'd probably be able to brush it off by the time the election comes around, but unluckily for him it wasn't. Now, I wouldn't class Maine's 2nd district as a swing state in this election. I think it will go to Donald Trump by a pretty substantial margin. I think it may get closer this election as a lot of the Obama voters come back home to Joe Biden, but I do think Trump will have it by a pretty substantial margin, so I wouldn't class that as a battleground state. The same with Maine at large. I think Joe Biden's got that by a likely margin, and I don't think it'll be very competitive. Now let's go on to the first swing state I'm going to label, and that is the state of Texas. I don't think Joe Biden will pick it up this election. If everything goes horribly wrong for Trump, maybe he can, but I really don't think he will. But it is still going to get close. It could definitely get to 2-3 points if Joe Biden has a really good campaign. All he's got to do now is keep quiet and let Trump keep digging himself a grave, because that's what's happening right now. So I do think Texas is a swing state, a battleground state. And in 2016 I maybe wouldn't have classed it, as Hillary didn't really have a chance at it, but Biden has a chance, despite how minimal it is, to pick up the state of Texas. So I do think it is definitely one of the key battleground states. It's obviously the most important one, because if Joe Biden picks up Minnesota and Nevada, all he needs is Texas and he's won. Do I think he'll pick it up? No. Could he? Definitely. It's a very slim chance, probably like a 5 to 10% chance he does, but there's still a chance there, and I think that's one of the key battleground states. It's one of the most interesting ones, as it was a Republican bastion really. It's the big points for the Republicans, like California and New York are for and Illinois is for the Democrats. The day Texas falls, Republicans are in big trouble. Like, no doubt about it. Whether that's the end of their party or just a major reform in their party, it definitely could happen. it will need to happen to win back Texas when it does flip blue, and it will flip blue in the future due to immigration from states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Minnesota, all moving to Texas, Arizona, Florida. These 3 states becoming more and more important. And so I discussed all this in my previous video, so make sure you go check that out as to why 2024 and other future elections benefit Democrats, and that is one of the main reasons why. The next swing state is going to be the state of Arizona. I do think that the polls have Joe Biden up. I know that, and yeah, the polls are up by 3.4. It's gone down from what it was. I'm pretty sure he was up by 4 points before, but I do think he will win the state of Arizona, but it definitely could get close. And if Donald Trump recovers from coronavirus and everything, he definitely could pick up Arizona, and it could be a tilt margin either way. But it looks like there's going to be a Democrat senator in 2020. There is a Democrat senator from 2018, sorry. That's just a major shift, really, in Arizona, from 2 Republican senators to 2 Democrat senators in the course of 4 years. Like, that's crazy. And it just shows the trending of trending to the left of Arizona. And in this election, it could go to Joe Biden, but it's definitely one of the key battleground states. Joe Biden and Trump, especially, is going to have to focus this down, because all Joe Biden needs is his pretty much safe states in Minnesota and Nevada, Arizona, and 2 of the Rust Belt states, or Florida, and he's won the election. So Donald Trump definitely needs to invest time and resources into Arizona if he wants a chance of picking it up. Interestingly though, Arizona has a positive approval rating of Trump, despite like Iowa having a negative one, but Arizona is probably close, and it will probably go to Joe Biden at the end of the day, but it is definitely a swing state. Now, despite what the polls say, Missouri and Utah are not battleground states in this election. I'm pretty sure poll had like 4-point gap in both of these states. Can I see? No. It's definitely Missouri had a 4-point lead, or Utah did. Both of them had very close margins. It's not going to be that close. It's going to be safe margins for Donald Trump, and they are definitely not battleground states in this election. I don't think Mitt Romney running would cause them to go to Joe Biden either. The state of Utah, that is, not Missouri. But yeah, it's not battleground states in this election, despite what those polls say. They are clearly wrong, and if they're not, it will be a shock to the entire nation, as the Republican base just gets torn apart, but it's very highly unlikely that that is the case. The next swing state is the state of Nevada. It voted for Hillary Clinton, and it's definitely to the right of these 2 states, New Mexico and Colorado, who also went for Hillary Clinton, and Virginia. Nevada is definitely going to be one if Joe Biden wins it by a lean margin. Donald Trump could pick it up by a tilt if he does very well, and if he can convince Latinos to vote for him. But with the protests going on, it doesn't look like that is the case, as a lot of Latinos and African American voters aren't happy with Trump's handling of the protests. I know Mitt Romney came out in support of them. Well, on Twitter he said Black Lives Matter. We'll see if that actually constitutes to any reforms he proposes in Utah. But yeah, Nevada definitely is a close state. It is a key state. I think it will go to Joe Biden by a lean margin. But Trump, again, if he invested lots of time and resources, he could win the state, but at the end of the day, it's not crucial to his campaign. He needs Arizona and the Rust Belt and Florida and these areas. Next, the state of Minnesota. Now, I wouldn't actually class this as a major swing state in this election. I think that it's pretty locked down for Joe Biden. If we look at the polls, Minnesota. Where's Minnesota? Not here. Oh, it's there. Okay. Yeah, polls have Biden up pretty substantially. But it did go to Hillary Clinton by 1.5, so it's not that key of a battleground state. In my opinion, I think that Joe Biden has it pretty securely. Again, if Donald Trump did want it, he'd have to invest a lot of time and resources, especially with the protests going on. Minnesota is pretty much locked down for Joe Biden. Similarly with Nebraska 2nd, I don't think Joe Biden should invest time in Nebraska 2nd. I do think Trump will pick it up either way. It will get close, but I wouldn't call it a key swing state. I'm only doing the key ones. If I wasn't, you would class Nebraska second, Minnesota, but these ones definitely are. These are the key ones. Obviously next is the Rust Belt. They all voted for Donald Trump in 2016 by a very slim margin, 0.7, 0.7 and 0.3 I'm pretty sure. Or 0.7, 0.3 and 0.3 is those numbers. I know that Wisconsin was 0.7, with Michigan was 0.3, I can't remember Pennsylvania. We can actually check that out. 0.7. So these are the I've said it many a time, but these are the most important states. And Joe Biden's birth state, Pennsylvania, and Michigan are probably the ones Joe Biden want to focus on if he wants to win the Rust Belt, like win the majority. Because Wisconsin is definitely the most conservative out of them, and it will be much more difficult to win Wisconsin. He should definitely invest time there if he can get that small African American population. It's not very large. It's pretty substantial in these two states, but if he can get them to come out in large numbers, he definitely could pick up these states. If Hillary Clinton could have literally a couple more percentage turnout, like maybe 1-2% more turnout of African American voters, these states would have flipped. So that's why I think those are the key swing states, and Donald Trump definitely could win them if he somehow recovers from digging his very, very deep hole. He definitely could win these states, and I do believe that it will get close. I don't think it will get breached 5%. Michigan maybe if everything goes perfect for Biden, but I doubt that highly. But Pennsylvania and Wisconsin definitely not breaching the 5-point mark. And Wisconsin, if it does go to Biden, I doubt would breach the 1% mark. It would be a tilt margin, but they definitely are the swing states. The polls have them up quite substantially. If you look at Michigan, 7.3, and Pennsylvania 3.3, and Wisconsin 4.0. But I do think it will be closer than that come election day. Polls early on aren't always the best. Michigan up by 7 points. That is great news for Biden. Hillary, I don't think, got that in Michigan. So, because the polls in 2016 for Michigan had Hillary up by 3.4, but it came back to 0.3. She had an 11-point lead at one point, but she lost the election the last 2 weeks with all the letters and emails and stuff. So, yeah. And Joe Biden getting 7.3 lead. So that will narrow come election day, but I think Michigan will probably go to Joe Biden. But they definitely are the key swing states come election day. The next state is, as pretty much every election in Florida. Florida is always going to be a swing state unless something drastic happens and it somehow breaches the likely margin to one party. I don't think it will ever be safe for one party. It's been the key state in many elections, can flip the election. It's a lot of electoral points. Yaps have it going up to 31 points in 2024, so it's definitely becoming more and more influential. It's always going to be a swing state, in my opinion. It's going to be close. It's definitely going to be close. I don't think anyone will breach the 1.5% mark. Like if Trump wins it again, it'll probably be a smaller margin than in 2016. If Biden wins it, it will be by a very slim margin. There are 1 million new voters in the state of Florida. It will be interesting to see who they vote for. If they go out in the majority for one party, it definitely could tip the scales. But Joe Biden is definitely appealing to the elderly voters, and in Florida that is crucial, and it definitely could flip it. And it's one of the most crucial swing states, in my opinion, in this election. And it has been for many elections. Florida is a very, very important swing state, in my opinion. Next swing state, North Carolina. Whoever wins this state, I think it will be by a tilt margin. I think that there definitely could be a Democrat senator in 2020, and I think that if either party wins North Carolina, it will be by a tilt margin. The polls, I'm pretty sure, for the first time had Biden up. Okay, maybe not now, but I'm pretty sure the other day the average was like 0.8 in favour of Biden. But obviously it's a PPP poll. I don't really like PPP polls, as Biden up by 4, and that just isn't going to happen. I do think whoever wins the state, it will be by a slim margin, like Trump's 0.3 average it's got right now. And I do believe that this state will be very, very close. And will it decide the election? Possibly, but I do believe Joe Biden should really invest in Michigan, Pennsylvania. I think he has bigger chances of winning them in Florida then North Carolina. But definitely spend some time there, but don't do a Hillary Clinton and focus most of your time there and then lose it by about 3-4 points, I'm pretty sure, in 2016. Yeah, lost it by 3.7. She was winning, it was back and forth, but again, the last 2 weeks, like come October, killed her election chances essentially. Same for her campaign, but she's just got unlucky with that, just like Trump is with the coronavirus and protests and everything like that. A swing state as well is the state of Georgia. It wouldn't have been a swing state in the previous election, really. Having Stacey Abrams on the ticket won't make it flip. It'll definitely narrow. Definitely could be a tilt margin in Republicans if Stacey Abrams is on the ticket. But I don't think she should be. I don't think she has enough experience, and I don't think she brings what he wants. I think he'd rather have someone like Kamala Harris, who can appeal to a wider range rather than just the state of Georgia and the southern states, which aren't necessarily too important. Florida is, but I don't think that was included. Go watch my Who Should Biden Pick as his VP candidate to see why I don't think it should be Stacey Abrams and why I think it should be Kamala Harris. But Georgia definitely will slim, and it's trending to the left. And I'm pretty sure Yaps has it still at 16 in 2024, but it's still becoming a pretty crucial state, 16 electoral points. And as you'll see here, it's a lot of the Republican states that they won that were swing states. Trump won all of these except Nevada in 2016, and they're all battleground states in this election. So the Republican Party is definitely on a very, very, very tightrope, and there will be a fine line between them winning and losing. Like, I feel like they'll either pick them all up, or they'll pick up like a couple, like Texas, Georgia, and then lose the rest. It'll be something like that, in my opinion. But it definitely could get close. It could come down to one of these states changing the election completely. So I'm pretty sure turnout in this next election is going to be the highest we've seen in this century, which is a really long time to say, but it's only since 2000. It's only been 20 years. But I think it'll be the highest turnout we've seen in a very, very long time. And that, at the end of the day, is going to help Biden. If he can get the same numbers of African American turnout as Barack Obama did, I could definitely see him winning North Carolina. Michigan and Pennsylvania, I think, have about 10% by African American population, and if they come out, that's 10% of the vote. Obviously, not 100% of them would come out, but I could see North Carolina flipping. I could see Pennsylvania and Michigan almost guaranteed for him. If you can get the Latinos out, Nevada, Arizona, and all those demographics, Latinos, African Americans, they're all angry. The American electorate is angry, and as you can tell by the protesting, and they're all fired up from both sides, Republicans and Democrats. They're both going to be coming out in very high numbers. It'll literally just be a case on who can get more of their party out, in my opinion. But high turnout generally favours the Democrats, and if you can get the high African American and Latino turnout, which are angered by the protests against Trump, North Carolina could definitely flip. Has a pretty, I think 22% of their population is African American, so that's a pretty substantial proportion of the vote. But it will be very hard for Joe Biden to get numbers like Barack Obama did. I think he got 66% and Hillary got 59%. But if she'd gotten like 61%, she definitely could have won the election. So now let's go on to the state of New Hampshire. I would class this as a swing state in this election. I do think it will go to Joe Biden, but it is a close state. It's worth mentioning. Hillary won it by 0.3. It was a very close race, but Obama did win it by substantial margins, and you could just see the swing: 5.6 in favor of Obama, 0.3. The Trump did a very good job of bringing over Obama voters, and Biden should do a good job of bringing them back. I do think he will, but obviously because he was his VP. But whether that it's enough to win the election in some of these key states, that's another question. Do I think he'll have an Obama-like victory? If the election carries on as it is, like if Trump needs to come out with some reforms from the campaign zero, like the community policing and all that. I'll leave a link to the website in the description if I can remember. But he needs to come out with some of those reforms if he wants any hope of winning his 8% of the African American vote. And at the moment, that's just dwindling. The more he doesn't support it, the more it's dwindling, and it just doesn't. It's just not going to bode well for him. He needs to come out in support, even if it's just one or two of them. It will help his chances. So yeah, that's the end of this video. It's going to be very interesting to see how these states change. They're definitely becoming closer. I do actually want to take a look at Texas quick. What the polls say about Texas. 1.5 in favour of Trump. I don't trust PPP. I can't stress that enough. I do not trust him. Biden up by 1. He will not win it this time. Maybe I can trust the tie, but probably not. Definitely, I do think it will be around 1 to 3 points, maybe 4 points in Texas. Biden up by 4. I just don't trust that. I mean, even CNN has Trump up by 1. Like, come on, PPP. Oh wait, no, Biden up by 1. Of course they do. But anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was informative. If you have any suggestions for videos I can do, leave them in the comments. Go check out the Campaign 0. I do think it's pretty cool. Some of their reforms. I won't go into whether I agree with all of them or not. That's another question for another time. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Take care and goodbye.